And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for you guys still being here. We've reached the last miles of the marathon, or even better said, the last miles of a delivery route with some goods. You'll understand the reference in a bit. So yeah, basically in this panel, we're going to mainly focus on the logistics industry, as it is, and the supply chain industry as well, as it is an industry that presents many, let's say, obstacles, challenges at times, bottlenecks. And we're going to basically address how to face those challenges, those bottlenecks through innovation. But innovation is a bit of a generic term, so we're going to focus we're going to deep dig a bit more even into IoT. So this being said, we're going to divide this panel discussion into 4 blocks. The first being on how we're going to address some of the main bottlenecks of these industries through IoT. Then what is the impact, or what are the impacts that IoT has got when it comes to sustainability in this specific industry? How does it improve customer experience? And then to end and to wrap up the discussion as well is basically we're going to have a bit of a discussion based as well on what is the expected outcome, what is the future that we expect when it comes to IoT in the logistics industry. So I'll be moderating this panel today, but I'm really, really happy to say that I'm joined today by 4 experts in the field. This being Manuel Alvarez, Iberia Managing Director at UnaBiz, Néstor Codina, Senior Virtual Consultant at Alhona, Pablo Gimenez, a local here, Senior Project Manager for Fundación Valenciaport, and Jimmy Jones, which is Head of Security for ZARIOT. So with no further ado, and obviously you want to focus, as we do in the logistics industry, in optimizing time in the best way possible. Let's get straight to it, and let's start with basically with the first question, which is, I'm wondering, most of you are thinking, how is IoT currently being used to address key bottlenecks in the logistics industry, like, for example, supply chain visibility and operational inefficiencies? So, Pablo, if you'd like to speak a bit about this topic, you'd like to give us a bit of an intro.
Yes, of course. In my opinion, one of the most important things in logistic environment is the continuous monitoring in order to detect that bottlenecks or even incidents. For example, we are working together with the Port Authority in order to monitor all the trucks entering and leaving the port, also entering and leaving the terminals, in order to detect, for instance, congestions. And with this information, port operator or terminal operators can take measures like opening a new gate or inform the users to not come to the port at this time because there is some congestion, or add more resources, this kind of actions.
Fantastic, fantastic. Néstor, would you like to?
Based on my previous experience, which is mainly warehouse automation, I see that the IoT is key when it comes to provide data to be used in, for example, simulation models that you can use to detect these bottlenecks and these inefficiencies in advance.
Fantastic, very good, very good. I remember as well, Manuel, that we've spoken previously a bit about this, that you wanted to mention a bit of a use case of fraud and assets within the supply chain.
Yeah, this will be more speaking about the visibility of the assets in the supply chain and any potential leakage that you can have when an asset is not behaving in the way that you are expecting it to behave. In this case, it was the fulfilling of CO2 bottle cases, in which the refiller discovered that for some reason they were not refilling in the periods expected. It was less than expected. So what was happening is that these bottles has been refilled by an external refiller, and thanks to IoT they were able to locate the bottles and to see that it was going out of their supply chain, and they can see where is the fraud and solve it.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. This being said, and having identified some of the key main bottlenecks, we're now going to jump to what are some of the specific IoT technologies that are most effective in tracking goods and fleet management. And not only that, but the outcome that this has had, like how it has improved operational decision making. Yeah, Jim, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, well, connectivity, obviously I'm going to go there. So IoT, through definition, is based on connectivity, and it doesn't matter if that's Sigfox, LoRaWAN, Wi-Fi, or cellular. They all have their own roles to play in the wider IoT deployments. I think cellular has a particular role to play in fleet management and logistics, as it's the widest deployed network we have. And that's only increasing all the time. So we're moving with 3GPP's next level of releases to really start to embrace non-terrestrial networks. So those black spots we had in low population areas, they're going to get covered as we move forward with satellite, but still using the same SIM technology we've got already. And obviously it's licensed spectrum as well, so it gives you that connectivity feel-good factor, if we can call it that, and then the 5G speeds we've
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Amy. Néstor, in this case, you wanted to talk about a bit about digital twins and.
Yeah, digital twins is something that is gaining popularity very fast nowadays, and I think that the capability of running different scenarios with very different inputs in a relatively short period of time, because these models tend to be quite fast. That helps a lot into and makes the decision process much faster and reliable, because at the end of the day, it's based on real data that is continuously gathered.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Néstor. And Pablo, you're obviously a bit of an expert as well when it comes to truck fleets and asset tracking. So you wanted to say something as well about this question regarding operational decision making and how it's been improved by IoT lately.
Yes, we have collaborated in several projects with different providers, different technologies, and we have seen that the most popular approach is still monitoring the trucks, because it's the easier way. But in the last years, we have seen that, for instance, container owners are installing equipment in their containers in order not only to get the position of the containers, but also the door opening, the shocks, the temperature, and other parameters. And this approach is also being followed by other assets owners, for instance, for train wagons or truck trailers.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Pablo. Now we're going to jump into basically in what ways can IoT-driven automation and predictive analytics just help companies to reduce costs, which is one of the main objectives of any company out there in the market, and increase efficiency in warehousing and inventory management. So here, Jimmy, I remember you wanted to talk a bit about digital twins for warehouses and so on. I remember a use case.
Yeah, I think for the efficiency question, I think digital twinning is the ultimate expression of where IoT can go. Néstor's already mentioned it. The ability to be able to take live information, so it's not just a one-off view of a factory or an object or a process, and being able to build simulations to see how that will affect efficiencies into the future or any problems they may cause. I think that's hugely valuable and really, as I say, the ultimate expression of where this can go.
Fantastic. I remember, Pablo, at the board, I know that you use predictive analytics for truck and ship arrival, ETAs, and truck traffic. If you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yes. At the board, we are very active in artificial intelligence, specifically in predictive analytic models, mainly for improving the efficiency. For instance, in the road transport, we are predicting the number of the trucks that are going to arrive in the next 24 and 48 hours. Also, the truck turnaround time, which is the time that trucks are inside the port, or even the container total stay at the port, means that the time from its discharge from the vessel to its pickup by a truck. Additionally, we are working also in models to predict the ETA, the estimated time of arrival of vessels, improving the planned date from the shipping lines, or models for predicting the noise and emission pollution.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Néstor, I remember as well, for this question, you'd like to talk about digital twins and heuristic algorithms as well.
Yeah, imagine that at the beginning of the day, you know which will have to be your production of the day, or you know that you have to prepare some number of orders. And yeah, with these heuristic algorithms, along with the digital twin, you can try to get the most efficient way of doing that. And also, well, you know it's reliable because it's constantly fed by the actual and the current situation of the warehouse.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. So it's a really good measure for daily production and to predict basically daily production.
Yes, and also to adapt. It allows you to be more reactive in front of some changes. Maybe a crane goes down or an operator failed to go to work that day and you need to replan. Mm-hmm. So with these iterative runs of the digital twin, you can adapt fastly enough to get the optimal solution.
That's magnificent. That's magnificent. Really, really good. And so now we're going to talk about one of the blocks as well, which was sustainability and how sustainability has changed. Well, not only how it's changed, but what is the real impact that IoT has had in the logistics industry regarding this topic. For example, reducing fuel consumption, optimizing delivery routes, and so on. I remember, Jimmy, you worked some time ago in a really, really interesting use case for the coffee supply chain.
Yeah, it was an exercise we did with one of our partners who's a blockchain company. We enabled the blockchain natively on cellular. But it was looking at the sustainability impact on the coffee industry, and he's deployed it in certain areas. He has a logistics tracker. But I think it's wider than just optimizing routes and fuel consumption, things like that. He was able to show that he could look at the impact environmentally of using water, of using energy in travel, and in the whole coffee producing process. But he was also able to show that he could track and make sure that the farmers were paid the right amount of money, that it was fair all the way through, and the governance was well done. For instance, they ticked the right boxes at the port, so they made sure the import was there. So that was really interesting, and you could follow it all the way through beyond actually the customer making that educated buying decision, and beyond that to where the actual cups recycled, or if the coffee grounds are used for fertilizer or something. So it was a really holistic way of looking at it, and I think using his blockchain technology as well to give everybody visibility and clarity, and also reportability end to end, I think was really interesting.
That's great. That's great. I remember, Manuel, we had a very interesting chat some time ago about how UnaBiz is also really, really focused on sustainability, and that we spoke about another use case about reusable packages and the tracking of them. So you could please tell us a bit more about that.
I love the term that was used before with Bosch about EOST, Internet of Sustainable Things. But I think it's a new term that everybody will use in the coming years. So what we see is that the manufacturers of packaging is changing from selling a good to selling a service. So in the past, the more goods they sell, the better. And nowadays, with the regulation that are coming in terms of packaging, they will start to sell the service of the packaging. So in this case, they will need to know where are the packaging, how many times they have been used, because by regulation, they will be imposed to know it. So this is a service that they will need to provide to their customers, and more they will be tracking any type of packaging and providing this data about the usage of it. Fantastic,
fantastic. Now I'm aware as well, Pablo, that at the port, at Valenciaport, you also focus on sustainability and that you use some tools for it. So, for example, if you could tell us a bit more about that as well.
Yeah. Nowadays, there are a lot of IoT sensors in order to measure the emissions, but not always cover all the requirements. That's why we are collaborating with a manufacturer in order to develop an spectrographic camera, which is able to measure the emissions from a vessel chimney only with video analytics from different cameras that are integrated. Nowadays, the process is to go inside the vessel, insert a sensor in the chimney, and then go to the laboratory to analyze it. So now, from a single point in the port, we are able to measure a lot of vessels' emissions, which is an innovative solution.
Very good, very good. So what it does, it sort of like it analyzes the smoke of the vessel chimney, let's say.
Yeah, and determines different emission gases.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. Néstor and Alhona, I also know that you're also really focused on sustainability.
Yeah, well, with that question, what first comes to mind is the classic salesman problem, where one person has to visit different locations, and it has to visit only once, or maybe a vehicle that has to deliver something. So with these kind of problems, where we have a lot of variability and a lot of combinations, so it's very inefficient to plan it, or trying to plan it, or trying to get the best solution, with brute force.
Yeah.
So we use at Alhona, we use genetic algorithms to get some solutions and tweaking the inputs, maybe to reduce fuel consumption, or maybe to reduce the number of vehicles, maybe grouping more packages into a large truck, or maybe splitting them in motorcycles, for example. So yeah, we use these kinds of algorithms to get the best solution.
Fantastic, fantastic, very, very good. Very, very good. And when it comes to, obviously, apart from sustainability, apart from the bottlenecks, we're always really focused, especially us that we work in the private sector, well, in the public as well, but what about the customer experience? How is it particularly like improved by IoT, for example, delivery accuracy and transparency? So yeah, Jimmy, if you wanted to talk about a bit about encryption, about embedded security there as well.
Sure. My day job, you mean, security?
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the impact, the positive impact on the customers, I think that comes back to my earlier answers. The coffee journey is a good example. Digital twin that Néstor mentioned, great example. The transparency and the accuracy is something I'd probably like to sort of pick up on, because that also needs to be, that comes for me the same as security of data and privacy as well. So you need to be able to attest that what the information you have is actually reliable, and you can trust it. For instance, we go back to the coffee guy. The coffee guy, when we give him a SIM, bit of background on ZARIOT, our whole go-to-market is to try and open up cellular networks to actually be useful. So you can get any device you want made, you can build any application in Azure, AWS, but that part, particularly cellular, that part in the middle, the network, is really opaque, and you can't really get at it. And that's a problem, because you need to build solutions that are end-to-end. You need to have, to build your device, you need to understand its whole DNA. You need to understand the device, the network, and the application. If you don't have all of that, then you don't have a cohesive solution. So, okay, sorry about that, little sales pitch in the middle. I noticed there was 11 minutes left, that's why. So
It's all good, it's all good.
it's, what we do is we enable features on the SIM. So we allow you to write to the SIM. The blockchain guy, when he builds his device, he can put a token on there, and he knows that that device is connected to that SIM, and his core network blockchain ledgers understand that that's what it is. When he sells that to somebody, then he knows that he can add another token, and he can access that particular ledger. Coming back to your point about reusability, he sells to hospitals. They send the medicine and it comes back. And so the first ledger it writes to might be the hospital in San Francisco, but the second ledger he can change the token, and the second ledger will give it to the hospital in Miami or something like that. So there's a lot of things we can do there to enrich it, and I think that's what we need to do. The one thing I would say is we do need to give some level of control to the individual, because it's okay for me. I know that my car's being tracked, and I know if I drove to Stamford Bridge every 2 weeks, they'll know that I'm a Chelsea fan. So that's what happens. I know that. But the man in the street doesn't actually realise that, and I think we need to make that more visible, because otherwise we're building in a problem of privacy and identity. Because, and I end up talking about this a lot, but if you don't have control of your identity and privacy, it's going to cause a problem. We've all seen what's happened with social media. And I'm going to ring this alarm bell again, because what we did with social media, we didn't know was going to happen. But you can turn your mobile phone off. You can't turn your mobile car, your smart car, your smart house, your smart home, your smart office off. So we need to start educating people and building fail-safes in there. And a lot of things we've been enabling with our partners on the SIM allows you to give control to the end user again. So I think all of those together give you a little bit of...
That's great. And Manuel, I remember you're working in a really interesting project with the $1 devices, and that's really related as well to delivery accuracy and transparency. So if you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, we think that the logistics is going to change. And nowadays, you rely on your logistic operator to know all the data about your shipment, and sometimes you have no clue about where it is. And with what we're working in an ultra low-cost device that would allow you to know where is your parcel. Okay, this will be a sticker. It will be $1 in the future. It will be disposable, and we'll have a battery that maybe will send a 10, 15 message that will allow you to know where it's in every moment. So I think it's where we are changing, and it will give power again to the customer instead of to the logistic operator.
Lovely. Really interesting use case. Thank you very much, Manuel. So just to wrap it up as well, to finish now, is what is the expected future of IoT in the logistics industry? So what are the areas that might need, that there's a bit of room for improvement for them? What kind of maybe like future tools we'd like to come up with, some ideas? Yeah, Jim, if you'd like to start as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the answer's probably going to be boring, but the way I see it is we've got so much data already. We could have had so much insight already, and we haven't been able to do that because simply there's not enough of us on the planet to look at all the data. So that's where AI steps in, and we talk about it all the time, but that does have the ability to be able to change what we're doing to make it more useful and make it more usable. And I think we have to make sure that we use it in the right way, but I think that's the key to everything we do moving forward. Yeah.
Really good. Néstor, what you obviously being an experienced guy in this field as well, what is the expected future? Would you like?
Yeah, from my point of view, I think that digital twins are already having, but will receive even more importance in the future. And of course, without a solid base of IoT structure that can send data, and that data then be transformed into information that can be usable, and with these digital twins, I think that will be key in the future, not only in logistics but all across the industry. So yeah, because they are based on reliable data, and it will make all the decisions. It will leave out the risk, and make things faster in order to in terms of decision making.
Really good. Thank you, Pablo. What is the expected future of IoT in the Port of Valencia, being one of the most important in Europe?
I agree with him that one of the most important things it's right now and will be in the future is the data. Most of the things we are doing related to analytics, predictions cannot be done without data. And for that, we need IoT devices in order to gather data, process it, and even share it in order to get value from this data.
All right, thank you very much. Manuel,
Yeah, for me, the next trend it will be to have solutions that will be cost efficiently. So we are in the world of having everything all the time, all the data all the time, and I think that we will be moving to solutions in which we have the data needed when we need it. So it will allow us to decrease the cost, and then will be a real massive IoT in the world.
Fantastic.
And sustainable.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, this being said, that's a wrap of the IoT and logistics panel. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you very much to every single attendee today here. The event it's just been incredible. Thank you very much, Dario, and the entire marketing team for this, just for the organization in general. Everything's run really smoothly, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilo. Basically, I cannot add anything.